welcome to the broadcast. It is Paul C. Dozier. I am your host. Let's see if the sound comes on. Yep. So I got to turn that thing off. Friday, April the 9th, 2021. Hey, listen, I got to do whatever it takes to make sure I get it right. This is only show number 10. You can only see 7 or 8 of them, though. I erased a couple of them. Friday, April the 9th, 2021. I am happy to be here. If you're over on YouTube, and I think we have you up on Facebook Live as well, please be sure to leave whatever comments. Share this with friends and family. We're talking about Black-owned businesses, business ownership. And it's hot in here, so I had to bring out my preacher's cloth. I'm excited. We've been talking about the foundations of Black-owned businesses. Now, I haven't started off traditionally, but this is a class. This is a class. I'm not going to call it a master class. I'm going to call it a class, though. I think it's a very good class. So I am welcoming you into my living room. We're going to have a conversation. And today we're going to talk about, specifically, we're going to talk about the importance of doing your research and understanding your history. Now, with some of you, you may understand what I mean when I say that when it comes to starting a business. And like I promised you, we're not going back into the other classes. You're just going to have to go back to the other classes. But you're going to need that background to understand where I'm going now, because I'm going to stop serving a little milk, and I'm going to start at this point serving a little meat. The experienced business owners are bored, I'm sure. However, we can always pick up information. So right now we're talking about the importance of research. Why? And history. Why? Because if you're starting a business, or, I'm going to say this, but you walk a fine line when you say this. If you have a business up right now, you still need to do your research. You still need to understand the history behind what it is that you're doing, even if you're already going. I'm really going to step out on a limb and say within the first 4 to 5 years is a very critical time, because most businesses do not make it past the first 4 to 5 years. And it's not because you're not putting forth the effort, because I believe, anyone that has who is audacious enough to start a business and keep it going for 4 or 5 years, either got into it for the wrong reasons and they failed, or something was missing and they failed. There are certain things that will cost you if you go 4 or 5 years and ignore the signs. I hope you're taking notes, because we're already off into class. Once again, this is not for employed people. This is not for people who are self-employed. This is specifically for business owners, or people more granular, people who want to become business owners. Even if you've already filed your paperwork, you already have a few clients, whatever, this is for you. This is for you. And I'm going to ask that you go back into the previous classes and listen to those, because we get a little bit more serious here. The importance of understanding the history is because, and the research, is number one, you have to understand the atmosphere that you're operating in. Now, that's probably not the language that you expected in taking a business course. But we want to use a little bit, they call it market research, but it's really about understanding the atmosphere that you're operating in. I gave last week the example of Walmart. Well, Walmart in one community looks different than in another community because they understand the atmosphere that they're in because they've done their research. And they have very specific target market groups. Even if you set up a website that operates nationwide or worldwide, the deal that you get out of Chicago won't be the deal that you get out of Los Angeles on the same national site because of the target markets. So understanding the researching the area, nowadays they call it algorithms, which in my view is a form of racism. I just threw that in, whatever. But they want to feed into different economic groups of a different strategy. There's a different strategy for all the economic groups. That's all the same thing as saying understanding your market research, understanding the algorithms, understanding the demographics of the group of people that you're looking to attract, that you're looking to market to, that you're looking to sell your product to, that you're looking to offer your services to. I know what my demographics are. I know specifically my demographics for the most part are people who are around my age up to about 65, 67 years old. There are exceptions over the 67-year mark, and there are exceptions under the 54-year mark. But the wide majority of the clients that I attract are within that age range, which is the reason why I'm looking to attract younger people on my team, which, in my other business, I have someone who's 40 years old. In this particular business, I'm not sure how old she is, but I think she's somewhere around 35, 30 to 35 years old, because she's a different demographic. She speaks a different language. At 40 years old, he speaks a different language as well. He thinks differently than someone my age. So there is opportunity, and let me explain what opportunity is. Opportunity is not a thing. It is a noun. It's not a place or a thing. It's a person. So the opportunities, as we've talked about much, probably I talked about it too much, but I wanted to drill down the importance of attracting the right team. And I talked specifically for a short period of time about each team member brings their own demographic behavior and their own demographic opportunities, or the people that they attract as well. So having a diverse team is good for the business. So going back to research, going back to history, which is the two things I'm going to give you today. I always try to give you two things. 2 days ago, I think I only gave you one. Innovation. Innovation is major. Innovation leads specifically into what we're talking about right here. So you have to go back and listen to the class on innovation. It's said casually, but if you're paying attention, you'll get a lot out of that teaching. Innovation, the building up of something that already is. All you're doing is innovating from something that was already created to attract this demographic that we're looking to attract. So that's why you have to know research. That's why you have to know history. Now, sometimes when you say research and history, some people will think that research and history are the same thing, and they are not. Research, you want to research your market, and some people use the word competition, which I would not. Now, keep in mind, we're talking about building a strong foundation for business ownership. And then someone would say, well, you don't need to do all that. And the answer is, yes, you do. Because if you don't have these building blocks, or you've never taken the time, that's the reason why the first 4 to 5 years are so important. You have to be aware of all the building blocks, because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. That's the reason why we need mentors. That's the reason why we need colleagues. Personally, we call them friends. And that's the reason why you always need to bring someone up with you. Why? Because someone coming up with you will help you innovate. They're not there just because you think you can teach them something. That is one of the most arrogant ways of looking at building a business, that you're going to be the grand teacher of everyone in the business. It's one of the reasons why black businesses fail or grow stagnant and struggle to hold on. We don't know it all. None of us. In fact, in the Christian church, that's when the pastor would say, turn to your neighbor and say, you don't know it all. You don't know it all. So the idea of team building is not so that you can tell people what to do. Now, we're talking about building a business that we want to last for a long time, right? So team building, having a mentor, someone you need to be listening to, someone you need to be asking questions of, someone you need to be paying to be involved with your processes, because they have something called wisdom. Still talking about market research and demographics. If you had to choose a person and you couldn't do your own research, wouldn't you choose someone to be a mentor who has maybe gone through the processes specifically in your field of operating? So the importance of having, now, all mentors are not physical, in-your-face mentors. Some of those mentors are in books. Ray Dalio is a great mentor, in my opinion. Now, Sean Combs can afford to have him in his face. We can't. John Maxwell is a good technical guy, and he has a great outlook. For business, I don't know. But, for his outlook, yeah, John Maxwell. I've listened to him and read a couple of his books as well. Tony Robbins will make you think so much more different about yourself and about your ability. In fact, he taps into the God nature of humanity. Another person that does that for me is Dr. Price. And I'm not telling you this just to tell you my business. I'm telling you this because you really need to look into it. It's not optional. You have to have mentors in your business. I'm not talking about just mentors when it comes to understanding the widget. I'm talking about mentors that understand the widget, mentors that understand the society that you're operating in, mentors that understand the processes or the processes of building just an operation itself. So, we're talking about building a business that's going to last for a long time, right? You have to have mentors. Those mentors, like I was saying, if you have to choose one, understand market research because they lived it. They lived the market research. They lived the demographics. So maybe you would have different mentors in different demographics. I hope you're writing this down. If you don't write this down, at least listen to this over and over again. That's very important. What are demographics? Oh, before I touch on demographics, let's talk about what market research really is. Market research is not finding out how many people sell widgets, how much they made on their widget. No, at least it's not just that. No, market research is understanding within the territory that you are in now, the territory that you want to be in the near future, and the territory that you want to grow into. That's one aspect of market research. So you want to understand the market from those dynamics. From that dynamic. You want to understand the market from that dynamic. That's one aspect of it. Market research is understanding, again, the atmosphere of the territories that you want to get into. Kenya is not like Ghana, and Ghana is not like America. I think I used that example before. It's all different. But for me, I plan on having a footprint in all three. And listen, I can only speak from my own experience and desires, and that's what, my own testimony, if you will. So I need to learn how to communicate where it is attractive in all three areas. So I need to understand the demographics and the market of those three areas. So what do? Well, I have contacts in all those areas and I keep in touch with them. That's one way. That's having the mentors. These mentors actually are in their 30s and 20s. Now they're all, I think, in their 30s because I've been talking to them for a number of years. As far as here in America, in doing what I'm doing right now, I not only do I read the books, but I have my bishop that I talk to. Well, we used to talk every Wednesday before this whole thing went sour, and then the person, people that I in my particular in my other field of expertise. I used to go to classes and call people. Right now, even today, I'll call specialists out of New York and I'll ask questions of them about this or that, so that I can understand better how to present to people in my market, the demographic that I attract. And oftentimes they give me advice based upon their own demographic, not necessarily based upon the demographic that I serve. So therefore, I have to ask even more questions. So let me give you an example. We're talking about market research. So I have one particular client that I've been talking to for 2 weeks. She asked me to do a very simple thing, but after doing the research for 2 weeks, it turned into something completely different. Why? Because after getting the advice of multiple people, we ended up doing something opposite what all of them said, and it is the right thing to do because she made the decision to do it. And she understands based upon the research we did, because transparency was there all the way through. And I was not in a hurry. You have to get that. If you're looking to build a business that's going to last for a long time, a lot of people tie this type of conversation to reputation. No, I'm not even there on reputation yet. I'm talking about your ability to serve the people of that demographic by removing the scotomas or the blind spots in your own thinking. You have to have mentors. Or you're going to fail 3, 4, 5 years from now because you didn't take the time to knock it out at the beginning, to do the research, not be in a hurry, not trying to force it to get a sale or to take a position that you shouldn't have taken. Let me put it just one more way. With the market research and understanding, we haven't gotten to the history yet, but with the market research and understanding your demographic, you need to learn it. Forget the client. Forget the organization that you're looking to get involved with, or the political action committee, or the nonprofit organization. If you're presenting yourself as the expert, even though you may not necessarily need all of the information to make the sale, make the contact, make whatever, and this almost ties into history, it's better for you to have more information than less. Why? Because if a question is answered, you have the answer. Not necessarily that you're going to use the information. So understanding your market is very good. Well, I haven't started the business yet. What does that mean? I'm glad you asked. At least I thought you were asking. If you haven't started the business yet, the only market research that you can really do is 2 or 3-fold. Number one, you can get yourself involved in the community where you're doing, where you want to attract your client base, or you want to attract people that will purchase your goods or your services or whatever. You want to get to know them. So you want to get into the community. That's one way of doing it. The second way of doing is read. Or these days, Audible, but read. Read about not just your widget. Read about the personality of the community, of the demographic. Well, what does that mean? What that means is I'm here in the city of Long Beach. I have not met the mayor, but I know who the mayor is, and the people that I know the mayor. I know the mayor is involved with at least one group that I'm involved with. So that means I have to be socially involved. I know one of the larger investors in this city by name and face. I know some of the political figures attached to this territory. Now listen, that's where time, you can't, God, it's 7:24 already. You can't, there's nothing you can do about time. Time goes fast enough. You don't need to worry about time. You need to enjoy it. For real. I mean, time just zips by. So your ability to execute will come fast enough. But you have to put in the time to spend time in your community, get to know the people, read, listen, get to know the personalities. Then, and let me move on, understand the history of not only your widget, but the history of your territory. Let me say that one more time because that is crucial. Now, again, we're talking about building a strong foundation for our business. Everyone wants to hear the 10 steps to selling $1 million worth of this and that. I've listened to those things. I've tried those things. Let's focus on the basics. Yeah, let's focus on the basics. Let's focus in on creating good relationships. Having not only knowledge of your product, service, or good, but having wisdom of it because you're familiar with and they're familiar with you, the players in the game. And you're able to get information. I remember a contract that I won down in San Diego. And I was hired to kind of clean up this company's process a little bit. This was years ago. It was a $400,000 contract. We wanted a bigger piece of it. But it was we got a $400,000 contract. And how we got the contract, and the owner had expressed to me his concern because he really wanted a bigger piece of the contract, but, what we got was pretty cool. And he expressed concern about it because he didn't really think he was going to be able to get it. He had his minority designation. He was established. I think he had three to five offices. I think he had 5 offices at the time. So it's not like people didn't know him, but his reputation wasn't the greatest either. So I came in, got a couple more, worked at getting, strike that. I worked at getting one other certification for him, which was a pretty large certification, really recognized here in the state. Never done it before, but what I did was I started calling around asking questions of the people there, and then I didn't live in San Diego, so I was driving down to San Diego going to meetings and meeting people. It was a slow process. But just a few months later, I happened to get into this building, which very few people can get into, major corporation, as a visitor, fingerprint to get in the building. Went up, was looking around for someone that I had met at an event. He wasn't sitting at his desk, but I was walking around their office looking for him and found him. How I got up there, I don't know. I just said I was there to visit him, and they let me up. And he said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I need to ask you a question about this bid." He says, "You're not even supposed to be here, but what do you need?" Because we had a great conversation. And he had said, "If you need anything, let me know," but he wasn't returning my phone calls. So I just boldly went to the office, and he told me exactly how to win the bid. We won the bid. Didn't get the big part of it, but we got a pretty decent part of it. $400,000. Have a nice day. Why'd I tell you that? It was all about market research. See, market research doesn't start and stop at creating a business plan. Market research is a constant thing that you do by being involved with your community and the players within your community, understanding what's changing. If you're friends, colleagues with people who are in certain positions, they will let you know what decisions have already been made because there is what's called lag time. That way you know what to bid on. That way you know what widget maybe you want to change your idea of the widget that you have and say, you know what, but this widget over here, that's what's going to be popular. So market research and understanding your demographics is very important. Let's talk about history. This is where a lot of people bring up, especially in the African American community, we bring up what happened in Black Wall Street, or on Black Wall Street. Well, before there was Black Wall Street, which was devastating. You know, the link, I believe, is on the YouTube channel of an article in Just Store Daily. Talks about the devastation of Black Wall Street. In 1921, it was devastating. You know, one man comes in, buys up 40 acres, sells to black folks. You know, you have 6 people that own airplanes. They have everything in Black Wall Street. You know, you have movies. Everything. This was, Tulsa was the largest holder of black folks. And so you get these white folks, or some of us like to call them Europeans, who are jealous, and pick one small incident, which wasn't even true, to go in and destroy the lives of, I believe, 35,000 people. $9,000 displaced. Saying it nicely. Oh, by the way, thank you to Ms. Jacobs. I didn't get permission to use your name, just in case you're listening to this. I have falsely stated that black Americans will lose their wealth at the year 2035. No, it's the year 2053 if we don't turn around and buy and create businesses and hire each other or mentor each other, that's so. Thank you, Ms. Jacobs. That's the reason why I study so much, because I don't like being wrong. But if I am, I'm so appreciative that somebody said something, because I didn't realize that I had flipped the numbers. And I looked at that article many times. And no, I'm not dyslexic. I thought I was at some point, but I'm not. So listen, so it's true, that we have gone through some things, that bad things have happened to good people, that all these things have happened. They happened. However, we look at history the wrong way. We look at history as though history is a finished work. And history is used to mature the work that is going to be done in the future. And listen, and we talk about Tulsa in 1921 as though that was the first time it happened. And understanding your history is understanding patterns. You don't have to be a history buff, but what you do have to do, again, if we want to be successful and understand the things, there are only so many tricks that can be thrown at you. If you learn them all, but you have to be interested in learning them all. You can learn all the tricks. There are people who have learned all the tricks. Quietly so. I mean, their names. There are some people that didn't learn the tricks. James Brown didn't learn all the tricks. Sam Cooke didn't learn all the tricks. Michael Jackson didn't learn all the tricks. Aretha Franklin didn't either. So there are a lot of people who did not learn all the tricks. But there are people who did. and were very successful. Listen, I'm not picking on black entertainment, not at all. I've read about all of them. I've listened to their stories. But when I say learned all the tricks, it means you know how to navigate the challenges that are coming because you know what to expect. You know, some of the things that I'm going through this week, I knew to expect them. They were not a secret. Because I'm no different than people who were much better than me that had to deal with the same challenges as I. No different. So instead of trying to be fearful and stop things, it's understanding how to leverage certain things and get the most you can out of that scenario and position yourself for the next place. You can learn how to do that in business. It's not all about your widget. It's understanding your history. If you understand your history and you understand that someone can hold one thing against you or someone that you didn't even affect or didn't even know, and you're not prepared for that, that's on you. That's on me. This is the reason why it's important for us to understand these 9 points of society that I have up on the screen on YouTube and at the website, but it's all going through YouTube at Paul Dozier Media or the Paul C. Dozier Broadcast. You have to have team members in economics, in education, in religion, in labor, in law, in entertainment, in media, sex, and war. Now, at the Black Wall Street experience, they had a lot of those points, but there was a couple of points in there they missed. They didn't foresee to the degree that they got a gang of Europeans or what's called white people coming into the town, throwing flames into their stores and lighting the town on fire. They didn't see it coming. They didn't see it coming. If they saw it coming, they would have been prepared. They just didn't see it coming. Now, if we understand that is a dynamic, which was later demonstrated in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Don't think it's not going to happen in the 2030s, 40s, and 50s. You just prepare for them. We can do that. But it takes something. Well, it takes a couple things. One thing I just mentioned, but it takes a few things for us to be prepared for that. Let me give you a few things so that they're forever on this video as long as that video is available, plus it's on my computer anyway. And in the cloud. YouTube, the cloud, the website. Yeah, and then we're going to take it offline as soon as I buy the server. So let me put this out there. Number one, of course, you have to know your history. You have to know, I'm not going to say that word, but you have to know what you're fighting. You have to know that the fight doesn't change. The language changes, the methodologies change, but the spirit never changes. And if you're not mindful of that, you can forget about it, because you will have opposition to building your business. And so understanding the territorial spirits, based upon the size of company that we're all interested in, you have to understand your market and you have to know your history. In understanding your history, a few things I want you to understand. Number one. Now, I'm not going to go into the team thing, but I am going to say you better have experts in all these areas on the screen. You need to call them all friend. I have experts in the majority of them, and I think I can call entertainment. I know a few people in entertainment. I don't know anyone in media. I know someone I can call a friend in sex. And I got a couple of warriors on my side. Economics, I'm still reading books. And some people would probably come to me for economics. Some, not many. In this community that I'm in Long Beach, I'm really working hard at attracting some of the brothers that have been here for generations, and they're very careful about me for some reason, whatever. But being able to get in with the territorial spirits is helpful as well. But number one, understanding, or listen, you're not going to be able to do them all, but having relationships in these areas. That's one thing you can do to understand your history, because you can't study all history. You need other people who have studied their side or their aspects of a history, so that when you sit around and smoke a cigar, have a scotch, which is what we do with the majority of people that I know, not all, but the majority of people I know, we're all coming from a different bent, so therefore we're all getting something out of it. That's number one in understanding your history. Number two is you have to appreciate the ancients, those who came before us. The W.E.B. Du Bois, the Paul Robersons, the Marcus Garveys, Colin Powell's still alive. Frederick Douglass, Fannie Lou Hamer. There was once I forgot her name, but she was the first black millionaire. I'm thinking about, I forgot her name. But you have to appreciate those who came before you. You have to know their story. If you're really intuitive, you can read their story and pick up how they overcame certain situations and apply those situations through history to your situation. But it comes across as stories, where in the Bible we call them parables. Number three, you have to have some elders around you. You got to have elders. Elders are people who are smarter than you, have lived life, have wisdom, can tell some stories. For me, there's usually someone in their 70s or 80s. You have to have some elders. Because the reality is, we don't have to have another Black Wall Street scenario. We can conquer that. But the question then becomes, how? And I'm going to do the best I can to make my notes work, because I have a glitch in this computer. And I was hoping it wouldn't come up when I was doing this, but it did. Let's see. Which one is this? Show 9. Yeah, this is 9. Let's see if Help if I was going the right way. So keep this in mind. Is before Black Wall Street was Ghana and Kenya and others, but I'm just going to give you those two examples. In Ghana, before Ghana was Ghana, there was a young man, President Kwame. You know who I'm talking about. Some of you guys do. President Kwame Nkrumah. Anyway, so he was born in Ghana, came to America, learned in America, went back to Ghana, became got a government position, went back to Ghana, came back, took over as president in Ghana. His goal was to turn it into an industrial powerhouse. However, in accomplishing all that, even though colonialism with the British, I'm not going to call them oppressors, but with the British. So fine, Ghana won their freedom. However, when he came to America for help, for electricity and that sort of thing, President Eisenhower saw a door to take advantage of him. And that's what they did. And they took advantage of him, went to Ghana, and took all the raw materials out of Ghana. Not all, but you know what I mean. Started taking and exporting, exporting the raw materials. So American corporations went in there, took the raw material out of there, sold it, made a ton of money, and it slowed down the process of Ghana. Same thing happened in Kenya. Before that, treaties were signed, agreements were cut. Before that, this isn't new. In the 1800s, it happened. It's not new. And I can even go before that. When a conglomerate of European countries came together and were making decisions on what methods to cut up the African continent. Coming in, acting like they were friends. That's why slick talking people, I don't care who they are, I got a problem with them. You know, I remember when I was going to school, before I was going to school of ministry, it bothered me that one of my mentors looked at me as though I was one of those slick talking people. Blew my mind. I never, now, and I'm going to say clearly today, I didn't see myself like that then, and I don't see myself like that now, because I don't like slick talking folks. They'll smile, shake your hand, and then brag about how much money they made on you. Tell you they're going to help you, but they're really in it for themselves. I personally think if you're paying attention, either you're one of those people or you can recognize one of those people. I hope you caught how I said that. Those slick talking people don't know sometimes that when they're talking to someone, their slick talk is talking them right out of the deal. And the person wants to do business with them. Why? Because we've been taken advantage of like that for years. However, some of us, I'm talking about in the African American community specifically, don't like slick talking black folks, but we'll listen to a slick talking white one. You can say what you want. But that's what happened in Kenya. That's what happened in Ghana. Explain to me why he went to America at the time he was going to America, where they were enslaving black folks in the 40s. To ask America to help Africa. You know, because America was considered the power. Of course, I get it. I get it. You know, and America had the advantage technology-wise. Yeah, I get that too. I get it. But if you collaborate with the people in your community, even though you may have to deal with a whole bunch of stuff to do it, someone has got to do it. You will find that the technology is right there because the European culture depends on us to go into our culture to sell their ideas, their services, their products, and we bite. We bite. You know, we could have people in our community that make custom-made clothing much better than Louis Vuitton, but we want Louis Vuitton. Louis ain't got nothing to do with you or your community. Listen, I'm talking about getting the idea out of your mind that Black Wall Street was a one-off. It was not a one-off. It happens over and over again. It is a pattern. And if you understand your history, you'll be successful. Michael Crichton says, if you don't know history, then you don't know anything. You are a leaf that does not know it is part of a tree. You can't get around history. You know, it's not how great your burger is, how your diamond, this, that, and you got to know market, demographics, and history. We're talking about building a successful business, right? Pearl Buck said, if you want to understand today, you have to search yesterday. She was the first American woman to win the Nobel Prize for literature. Now, here's the proof that history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. That was by Mark Twain. I can say a lot about Mark Twain, but I'm not. Now, but there was a back in the 40s, the 30s and the 40s, the big thing was being a socialist. Socialists are humanistic. In other words, not all socialists, but a lot of socialists are humanistic. In other words, they really didn't believe in the spiritual side of things, and that was true for C. Wright Willis. I'm sorry, C. Wright Mills Willis. I'm thinking about something else. He said, neither the life of an individual nor the history of a society can be understood without understanding both. I think I just said that. Now, that's put in one of those poetic, old school ways. Neither the life of an individual, which is demographics, market research, nor the history of a society, history, can be understood without understanding both. He studied the power structure of the United States. In fact, wrote a book called The Power Elite. Check that out. Because listen, it's almost true I don't believe it's exactly true. But it's almost true that if you want to hide something from someone, put it in a book. These guys blatantly wrote in books how to take over society. A nation that forgets its past can function no better than an individual with amnesia. A nation that forgets its past can function no better than an individual with amnesia. You know, you got to know your history. If you understand your history, if you understand the power of having, before selling anything, before presenting yourself as anything, having a grip on your community, being respected, because it's not about selling anything, it's about providing service. The services and widgets that the community really does need. Someone has to provide it. But if you're coming in with the perspective that you're going to get rich, which happens a lot in our community. You know, that's how people are taught to market to us. You know, come on over here. We're going to show you how to make $1 million. We got this widget. If you just sell 10 of these widgets, you'll make this, and then you'll get residual income, and then bring in 5 other people to sell 8 more of these widgets, and then you'll get a piece of that widget, you know. Listen, nothing wrong with that. But understand your market. Understand the demographics. Come in with something needed. Find out from them what they need first. Don't go in, you know, full of hog heaven, trying to push something on someone. If you do your research and you understand the history, you can be the source for those widgets, as long as the community and the individuals in the community can and will benefit from those widgets in a way they understand. Not in a way that you understand. You know, you may understand, but I need to